Time for another Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, Shortcast. And this time around we're talking with Monique Shore, who has written the book, No One Is Better Than You, Edith Renfrow Smith and the Power of a Mother's Words. And we're talking about Edith Renfrow Smith because she was the first black woman to graduate from Grinnell College. And in July, she'll be celebrating her 111th birthday.
Yes.
Just amazing.
Yep.
And this book that you've written is a fascinating life story of her. And I guess I want to mention, first of all, the alumni office at Grinnell College is going to have a card shower for her. Tell us about that, will you?
Yeah, so for her birthday for several years now, we've done a card shower so that folks can send her greetings. And rather than having like lots of individual cards kind of overflow there, they gather them, and then we've had somebody who personally visits her kind of deliver a whole box full of things. So they're going to be doing that again, and so those cards can be sent by July 11th, so that they're in time, and sent to the Alumni Relations Office at Grinnell College, which is 733 Broad Street, Grinnell 50112.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Why did you decide to write this book? Tell us about that, Monique.
So I had I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Edith when she was 101, and learned her story over the next several years as I was a part of the group that did research into her family's history in this area. She has deep, deep roots in Grinnell. So she was born here in 1914, but her family's roots actually go all the way back to 1859, when her grandfather traveled through Grinnell as a freedom seeker on the Underground Railroad. And that is part of what the research that we uncovered was an article from 1895 when her grandfather recounted that story. Now he didn't settle here, obviously, because he was escaped to freedom at that point. But in the 1890s, he and his wife came to Grinnell, and the family began living in this area from the 1890s on. So he and his wife had 3 daughters who all married Grinnell men. 2 of them married barbers, and one of them married a barber. One of them married a farmer whose deep roots in the community go back even further. The first black farmer in Poweshiek County was Miss Edith's uncle. So that's another fascinating story. And then her mother married a man who was a cook. And so Edith's father, Lee Renfrow, was a cook at the Monroe Hotel. So people who are familiar with Grinnell's history know that the Monroe Hotel was, for many, many decades, right across from Central Park, and was a cornerstone of the community. So Lee Renfrow was a cook there, as well as doing other odd jobs that he could find. So they raised their 6 children here in Grinnell. Edith was the 5th of the 6 children. Grew up in town, and from a really young age decided she wanted to go to Grinnell College. And so all 6 of the children did go to college. Education was really, really important, but she was the only one who wanted to go to, who really decided to stay and go to Grinnell College. She had been really strongly influenced by Grinnell College students who came to her home when she was a child. Her mother would have there were a few black students at the college in the early 1920s, and Mrs. Renfrow would invite them over for Sunday dinner. And so Edith remembers as a small child just being in awe of these men who were college students. She also was very much inspired by college students who worked at the Uncle Sam's Club, which was a youth club here in town. So anyways, from a very, very early on, she decided she wanted to go to Grinnell. And so when the time came, her mom told her, I can't pay the tuition. You can live at home, but you'll have to find a way to pay for it. So she lived at home. Their house was right down by the cemetery, and she would walk the mile to campus back and forth every day. She had 2 campus jobs to earn enough money to pay her tuition. She was the only black student on campus, male or female, during the entire 4 years that she was at the college.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman.
She is.
And she still has lots of great memories of Grinnell. 111 years old, a lot of people aren't alive at that age much less have a good memory, and you've remained friends of hers.
Yeah.
And she stays active too
She's very active.
in Chicago.
Yes. So she's, I mean, very active for 111-year-old. So she's, getting around is a little harder than it used to be, but she's very social. And so she continues to make homemade goodies. She does have a woman that comes in and helps her 2 or 3 days a week. And so when I visited last summer, they were making little batches of banana bread. And then she would take that banana bread and she takes it and shares it with the different residents of the retirement community. She'll often she makes homemade wine, really good homemade wine.
She made you fudge once.
She sent me, after I first met her, that first meeting when she was 101, that next Christmas, she sent me a box of homemade fudge. I've received other delightful little gifts. I got a fruit cake one year for Christmas that she and her daughter had made. So she just keeps really active and is such a giving heart.
Sure.
So she's always thinking of ways, if she can't do as much as she used to, well, she can do cards. So now she's in charge of making sure every resident in the retirement community gets a birthday card.
Wow.
And so that's just part of her giving heart.
Well, we call this a shortcast because this is a lot shorter than the podcast. You can find that on this website and on all the platforms for the podcast. But I do want to plug your book. If people want a copy of the book, hold up the book so people can see it in the camera. If people want a copy of your book, Monique, how can they get a copy of it?
Yeah, so this is an illustrated an illustrated biography, kind of targeted at older elementary age, but very accessible and interesting for all ages. And you can get this at the Pioneer Bookstore. If you want the best quality, I would recommend getting it at the Pioneer Bookstore. It is also available at the Oskaloosa, at the Book Vault in Oskaloosa, as well as at Prairie Lights in Iowa City. If you can order it online, but I wouldn't recommend it because the quality's not going to be as good. So it's $14.99. College Bookstore can ship it anywhere you want, and it's a delightful read with lots of extra beautiful illustrations and lots of extra material at the back. I included their whole family story, lots of photographs from her life, and as well as kind of my story of how I got to know her. So,
sure. How old was Edith in that drawing right there?
That drawing is just kind of based on kind of elementary school age. So, yeah.
She's a cute kid.
She well, the process of illustrating a book for somebody who's still alive and remembers every detail of what their house looked like was a challenge. So
I bet.
She had input for every illustration.
Yeah, you had said in your description, the forward of the book, that she was every step of the way okaying everything.
Yes.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us. It has been a pleasure, and I'm glad you've honored her in this way. The college in Grinnell has honored her, and she's been honored nationwide in so many different ways, which she so readily deserves. Yes, all about Edith Renfrow Smith. Our interview guest on this Out and About with Jamie Grout shortcast has been a lady who has done a lot of research on her, Monique Shore. So make sure you check out the Long Podcast. We want to thank our sponsors. Check out the sponsor list. We appreciate them supporting this. And until next time, Grout is out. See ya.